Welcome to Faith, Fiction, and Folklore, or as we like to call it, the Tri-F Podcast, where we try not to screw the podcast up. And today, we are talking about the CIA found the Ark of the Covenant, so they say. Really, they're just trying to distract people from the JFK files, but they found the Ark of the Covenant.
Where did they found it this time?
Oh, this is all sorts of clever. They really narrowed it down, Trevor. You want to know where they found it?
Up north somewhere?
The Middle East.
Which middle?
The whole middle. Somewhere in the Middle East. They know where it is, guys. So that's the way I understand the story anyway. So here's the article. The CIA used experimental intelligence methods, psychics, to attempt to locate the Ark of the Covenant, but the revelations are about 25 years old. The Ark of the Covenant is more than a lost treasure for Indiana Jones to track down. It's also an important symbol in Jewish faith and history. In recently resurfaced documents, as reported by right-wing British outlet The Daily Mail, the CIA outlines how it used a remote viewer. Relish the bullcrap behind that statement. Just take a moment, breathe in the stench, relish the bullcrap. Remote viewer, psychic, men who stare at goats. That's what that means. Somebody took LSD and had a vision, and these dad-blame bureaucrats called him a remote viewer. Oh, that is the kind of stupid only the government could make up. This is amazing. So, a remote viewer to mentally locate the site of the artifact, which has remained a mystery for centuries. And this psychic is going to solve it for us, guys.
Do you not believe in remote viewing?
No. Not the way these guys pulled it off. They probably fed the guy a bunch of shrooms.
Oh.
All right, the topic is trending on X and Google Thursday amid heated political debates over whether or not military plans in Yemen that were accidentally shared in a Signal group chat where a journalist... What the heck does that have to do with this? You liberal tard trying to shoehorn current events. Good night. All right.
Remote viewing is real, bro.
Oh, is
what the?
Remote viewing is bro. What the? Oh, well, maybe you should come on the show and make your case, Cody. But in the chat, I'm just going to say, you're wrong. It was shrooms. And he spoke to a demon goblin. So anyway, the CIA Project Sunstreak took place in the 1980s and sought to establish remote viewing, the ability to describe remote areas or conceal data via unknown mental processes, shrooms, as an intelligence tool. In one exercise, the remote viewer was asked to locate the Ark of the Covenant and reported it to be somewhere in the Middle East. Oh, Cody's back. Well, apparently challenge accepted, good sir. Give me a minute. You need to give me a little bit of a warning.
Can you see me?
Not yet. Not yet.
Here we
Hang
go.
on. I gotta switch the viewer around. Challenge accepted, though.
Welcome back, Cody.
Welcome.
What's happening?
I thought if I taunted you a little bit, you'd show up.
I'm walking my dog, so it is what it is. But
That's fine. Give me a minute. I've got this goofy technical issues. Let's see. Zoom, co-host meeting. I hate this thing.
Is the audio only?
No, it's just I've got all our cameras up, but it's not wanting to let me access the window that I'm wanting to access without re-clicking on CRUD. Because this thing is petty. There we go. Goodness. All right. While Cody's getting himself set up, let's see who.
it's dark outside, so you might not be able to see me anyway. But
That's fine. We're just happy you're here. I've been missing you tonight. We talked about Billy Carson, and I was like, man, I wish Cody was here. And then Trevor was wishing you were here, but it was only so he could share his dad jokes, and I was very sad. So,
well, I was wanting to do I got a frequency video I was wanting to show you.
okay, yeah, he had this musical frequency thing. Okay, Jen says Ron Wyatt found it a long time ago. I actually have that video pulled up. I have footage of Ron Wyatt supposedly like
Ooh, we're gonna
digging through
watch
the
it?
tunnels. We can. I'd have to find it again, but yes, it's like pulled. The tab is pulled up, and I have to find it on the video. But yes, we could watch that if you'd like.
Heck yeah.
And I mean, this is what I think happened to it. I think Ron White actually found it, but he was working with the Israeli government because he needed access to the land. And then when he found it, the Israeli government went in there and took it. That's what I think happened.
Sounds right.
Yeah. So,
And then just
Hey, you know what I bet's in that thing?
what's that?
What?
The genetic code to get rid of big noses and bald spots.
Racist. So, yeah,
Blood was tested.
that's right. That's right. This is one of the coolest stories I've heard. Let me finish reading the comments. We're getting okay. Let me Musfama. Okay, so
Is it in Warehouse 13?
You're a moose
no,
farmer?
no, that's
cool.
a fun show, but no.
Wait, what's
But
what's
there are a
Warehouse
few of them
13?
anyway. Remote viewing is real, bro. Yeah, that was Cody. You're going to have to defend why you believe in remote viewing here in a second. So Jess is like, challenge accepted because Cody got on here. And then Jim was like, yeah, because the blood was tested. Now, that was what I was going to comment on. This is amazing to me. So where Ron Wyatt said he found the Ark of the Covenant it was directly under where Christ was crucified, under Skull Hill. And
Really?
yeah. And there was a crack. There was a fissure where supposedly the cross was dug into the ground because they would chip like a rectangular hole in the ground for the plank for the cross. And when the earthquake happened, there was a fissure that cracked in that hole, and Christ's blood trickled down that fissure, and it ran into the center of this mountain, where it dropped into this stone. I don't know what you would call it. Stone rectangular box that was holding the Ark of the Covenant, and basically that blood drained into the altar seat, and that was symbolic because the priests would sprinkle the blood of the ram onto that holiest of holy, like that spot in the center of the Ark of the Covenant. And apparently Christ's blood fell into that exact same spot during the crucifixion, indicating that he was the final sacrifice for the whole sacrificial system. So,
Wow.
yeah, and what was crazy is that the scientists, according to Ron Wyatt, tested the blood, and it only had, I believe it was 24 chromosomes. I don't remember how many we're supposed to have. I think it's 46.
Yep.
So, but he only had 24. So he basically had 23 chromosomes, if I'm getting the number right, 23 chromosomes from the mom, and then one male chromosome, and that was it. So,
Wow.
yeah, it's pretty wild. It's pretty cool.
Wow. Man, that's crazy.
Yeah. So I have that video pulled up if we want to watch that. But I wanted to relish in the CIA's stupid. Let's catch up on comments really quick. Jess called you a racist,
you.
Cody.
Yeah, I mean, a little.
A little. Jen says, LOL, I learned that a long time ago. They flipped out about the blood. They were shocked. Yep. On the mercy seat. Thank you, mercy seat. That was the term I was looking for. The Jews were shook. Sorry, but they were. Because the blood was alive. Jessica says,
Right.
Warehouse
That's so cool.
13 is a sci-fi show that plays off the idea that a secret organization hides all these supernatural artifacts and certain agents care for them, which basically means plays with them.
Yeah, right.
It's a cool show. And Jen says, and that's unheard of. So yes. So we're caught up on that. Let me finish. Oh, first of all, Cody,
Yo,
remote viewing. What is
Yeah.
this?
I'm kind of surprised you don't believe in it. It's like I guess I view it like, so, in 2 Peter, it says God views things like the rim of a glass.
Yeah.
Okay, so to me, like, whenever you get into meditative state, like that's what you're chasing. It's like a view of the way God sees it. So like that's when you get like dreams and stuff, like deja vu and stuff like that. It's like little clips of that.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of like astral projection.
Maybe. I mean, I guess they could be connected. It's the same kind of state, I guess.
Yeah.
Like if you focus your energy towards, like somewhere in Mexico, you had an emotional thing happen at that spot, and you like project energy towards it, in that meditative state. You can kind of see what's going on there at that moment. I don't know, maybe.
So these remote viewers projected their thoughts into the Middle East, and what they got was it's somewhere in the Middle East.
Yeah.
Let me add a qualifier. It's not that I don't think remote viewing is possible, the way you defined it. I don't think the CIA can do it and force it. I think they took shrooms and somebody claimed that they saw something in the Middle East.
Well, that's the thing. Like I think, yeah.
Like
it's the same kind of system, but it's it's the lower realm of it.
Yeah, well, look, relish this comment. It's just ambiguous enough to be useless. In one exercise, the remote viewer was asked to locate the Ark of the Covenant and reported it to be somewhere in the Middle East and hidden underground, dark and wet, and protected by use of a power unknown to us, which is basically all the information you could infer from the Bible.
Yeah.
That's just about pointless. So I'm very skeptical that this person remote viewed anything. It's like it's outside and it's buried because it would have to be. It just irritates me. But anyway, and just for more appreciation, I personally enjoy this. Look at what they named this project. This was a hippie. Project Sunstreak. Project Sunstreak. Good morning, Starshine. The Earth says hello. So,
yeah.
Teletubbies.
Yeah, Teletubbies, exactly. So this is a picture of the document.
My son.
Huh?
Dang, there's a dog. Sorry.
Oh, it's all right. Yeah, a bunch of handwriting nobody can make out. Oh, he drew a picture. Look, guys, this clears the whole thing up. This is the picture Starseed or whoever it was drew to tell us where the Ark of the Covenant might be, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just about pointless.
Is the wind too loud?
No, you're good, man.
Right.
Hey, look, wherever it is, there's bricks nearby.
Wow.
And there's a curvy thing. See? These aren't things you see all the time. And there's a tank. Don't know what a tank is doing there.
Probably a toy.
Yeah, toy tank. There we go.
Or
And
a
then a bunch of
catapult.
signatures. I don't know. Hey, look, a mosque.
Wait, go back up to the tank.
Yo.
Actually, it looks more like a catapult than a tank.
Well, whatever it is, it's your taxpayers at work. Someone had to take shrooms to draw this.
Oh, wow. I just zoomed in on what you're seeing. Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, that is kind of how it works. Like, is that a remote viewing
Drawing.
drawing?
I think
Yeah.
so. I mean,
mean,
I haven't
I've-
read
I've-
every piece of this, but I think it's remote view drawing, yeah.
I've seen people actually do this.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can be accurate with it.
Yeah, they just hold
Okay,
their hand over
well,
paper
give me an
and-
anecdotal account. Give me something interesting that might validate this, because this is just lame, and I'm just seeing taxpayer dollars at work here. So,
Well, I mean, there's a channel I listen to that I've talked about him before, Jaron. He actually had a couple that did this come on his show, and
mhm.
he described the thing, but he didn't tell them what it was, and he had them try to figure out what it was, and they nailed it. Pretty cool. I don't know, man. I think there's credibility to it. Is this MK Ultra stuff?
I think this is part of the big document dump from the JFK files. Why it was in the middle of the JFK files, I don't know, but probably just somebody screwing up. But
Yeah, no, I believe it.
yeah,
think it's
okay.
all-
Well, here's
all
the
pretty credible.
statement. Okay, so let me read what this person claimed that they said really quick, or what they said they saw. I think this is a paraphrase of what they specifically said. So, target is a container. This container has another container inside of it. The target is fashioned of wood, gold, and silver. The target is similar in shape to AOL, a coffin, and is decorated with seraphim. See sketch, page 16.
Ew.
This target is located somewhere in the Middle East, as the language spoken by individuals present seemed to be Arabic.
Ew.
Visuals by surrounding buildings indicated the presence of a mosque, domes. See page 12. Individuals in the area were clothed in virtually all white and had black hair and dark eyes. One figure I homed in on wore a mustache. All right.
There was people with it.
Yeah, which kind of tells me it's bullcrap, because earlier they're saying it's dark and underground, yet there's a bunch of people there, and it's
Well, it
like
could be
near a
like that.
mosque. Like they're seeing, it's basically disjointed dream vision type stuff, like
Yeah.
you're
They're
seeing.
getting little like keywords or key descriptions or
Yeah,
shit,
yeah. So
grabbing it out of the ether.
yeah,
It could be hokey, but man, I've seen a lot of people do it.
yeah. So the target is hidden underground, dark and wet, were all aspects of the location of the target. The purpose of the target is to bring a people together, see page 16, has something to do with ceremony, memory, homage, and the resurrection. There is an aspect of spirituality, information, lessons, and historical knowledge far beyond what we now know. The target is protected by entities and can only be opened now by those who are authorized to do so. This container cannot be opened until the time is deemed correct. Once it is time to open the container, the mechanics of the lock system will be found to be fairly simple. Individuals opening the container by prying or striking are destroyed by the container's protection through the use of a power unknown to us. That is the quote. That was interesting. That was worth digging through this thing for. I thought that was interesting. It might have been shrooms, but it was interesting. So, all right. So let's catch up on comments here, and then maybe we can click around on that Ron Wyatt video that I got pulled up.
Every time you say Ron Wyatt, I think of the comedian.
I
Yeah,
know.
Ron
I
Wyatt.
know.
Yeah.
Kind of funny.
Let's
You
see.
think it's some fat guy, some drunk fat guy with the cigars, doing all
Right.
this science shit.
Yep. Let's see. Jen said, deja vu is something you have done before or feels familiar. Astral projection is being somewhere else. And then Jessica asked, was that a cow nose? Was there a cow nose on there?
No, she was calling the tank a cow nose.
Jen said, read that it's protected by use of a power unknown to us. 2. Cool. And then Jess said, when have you seen someone do it? Can you give us an example? I think she's talking about.
Yeah, she's referring to Cody.
Cody, the.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have any links or anything, but I synced it.
You've synced
Trust
it.
me, bro. Just trust me, bro.
I seen it on the internet.
We trust you, Cody.
And then Jen said, yep, the Bible speaks of that. That's Ron Wyatt.
Yeah, he's thinking of Ron Wyatt.
And
in
then Jess
public.
said, I was just going to ask about the comedian, too.
All right,
well.
that's
No,
fine.
I think this guy's Ron Wyatt, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Ron Wyatt. Okay, so I guess I need to pull that up now, don't we? I think we're done with this document, so let's see if I can pull up. I had been sitting on this story for weeks. I found it weeks ago, and I really wanted to talk about it because I thought the footage was, like, awesome.
Yeah.
You're awesome.
Thank you, sir.
You have awesome footage. That makes you awesome.
That makes me awesome, huh?
What?
What the? Ron Wyatt, him and his son. Jen said.
Let's see here. Give me a minute. I'm going to have to find...
Your minute's already
Uno
up.
momento.
because I'm not gonna watch the whole thing. Like, there's a full documentary on the YouTube channel, His Perfect Bride, if you want to see the whole thing. But I want to show the excavation really quick. Oh, it kicks it off right in the beginning. This will be good. And I do recommend everybody watch the whole thing. The whole thing really is awesome.
Yeah.
So, like, I actually enjoyed this quite a bit. So, here we go.
And this is the guy who actually found the Ark of the Covenant.
I think he did. I think he did.
We saw some of the furnishings from the first temple.
Yeah.
Is that him?
We
Yep.
accomplished
Yep.
that by going down through this hole here
Whoa.
that's about 40 foot deep, and then coming out of there back up into
Just waiting for a set of glowing eyes to look up at her.
a spelunker terminology, and then squeezing on into the chamber.
We broke our way in through a hole. We went 60 feet underground. We came back up. I mean, it was a real labyrinth. But once you got in this chamber, there sat a door right at the end of the chamber. And the people that brought this thing in busted a chunk of stone loose, dug out from behind it, laid it down, cut a doorway out in there, carried this stuff in. And then they covered them with animal skins, and then they covered them with wooden boards, and then stones. They packed that thing full of stones, backed out and shoved that chunk of rock back in place and filled in behind it. And today, from the outside, it just looks like a crack that an earthquake made, and there's a lot of those in that scarp.
Now, if it were just simply getting into the chamber, we could do that. But once we get in there, we have to have the ability to get all of those things out of that chamber and safely to the surface. So it's not like just treasure hunting where you go in and get whatever is there and take it out. We have to
Not like Indiana Jones.
consider taking care of the objects
Dude, this is
that
wild.
are beyond this wall.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Really huge.
Sorry, what?
I was talking to my dog.
Ah.
And we're bringing the radar scanning equipment out of the hotel here.
See if I can find the blood scene.
Man, this is fascinating.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. Let's see if I can find...
That's right, and take about a minute for the scan.
Where is it now?
I'm telling you, I think the Israeli government took it because he had to get the
Oh my
Israeli
gosh,
government.
okay.
Yeah,
That's what you said.
yeah, the government. He had to get government permission to even go down in here because it's like I was in Israel in 2006 and I didn't realize it, but I was walking right on top of where he was at, and so 'cause that's a very public place because the Garden of Gethsemane's there. Like people don't understand. Like in the story of the crucifixion, all those places are very close together. So you've got Skull Hill, the Garden of Gethsemane, the Resurrection Tomb. Like, it's all... Garden of Gethsemane. Like, it's all, like, right by each other. So he had to actually... And, of course, they're all, like, parks and, tourist attractions. So he had to get government permission. Well, when he found it, government learned he found it, and they took it. That's my opinion.
Wow.
Yeah. So I think the Israeli government's been sitting on that thing for forever.
And we partner with these people? What the?
It's
What the?
better than partnering with the other side. Unless you like
You say
burkas.
so. I mean, I do.
I would find that incredibly disappointing. All right, let's see if this is the right spot.
Nathan's giving it to Mark, who's hauling it off to the dump.
No, it's not.
Just more excavating.
Yeah, well, they just had cave-ins because that area is just filled with, thousands of years of rubble. And so all that ground is really unstable. So there's stuff on top of the Egyptian... Yeah, sorry, go on, Trevor.
Jen said the side he was walking was like a dump of rocks. and God made him point to the spot to dig.
Yep, I remember that. All right, I want to find the blood scene really quick because that was like really
Impactful?
Yeah, that was impactful for me anyway. So here we go. Let's open with what he said happened, and then we'll see. I think that's the right spot.
Amazon has a $50 million.
I don't
For
care.
Adamhurst.
Thanks for nothing, Amazon.
Obviously.
Not buying your stuff now. So let's listen to his account, and then I think the blood scene is right after that. Come on. There we go.
I didn't know what else to say. And then he said, I'm on my way from South Africa to the New Jerusalem.
Well, that certainly eliminated a whole lot of possibilities there. Immediately, that proved that he was a heavenly being. And I just sat there, didn't say anything, and he just continued to look at me. He said, God bless you.
All right, this isn't what I thought, but let's see.
In what you're doing here. He was at the top of those stairs. And he walked right back that little short sidewalk, took a right at that big pine tree, and headed for the front gate. Well, this doctor, of all people, was the only one in earshot.
Okay.
He was back under some shrubs in the shade eating his lunch.
Okay, so I was a little off. Basically, what he's saying is that the doctor that tested the blood found the 24 chromosomes, and he was converted, from what I understand. And that's the story he's talking about, is the doctor telling him about it and then walking off. So,
That's crazy.
yeah.
And he piped up and he says, Ron, do you suppose we've been talking with an angel? And I said, at least. Well, I worked
Or I'm wrong.
with great enthusiasm for the rest of that day. When we left the garden tomb, I asked the ladies in there, I said, what did you think of that?
Dude, I'm gonna have to watch this whole video. This is all wild again.
Yeah, Again, the channel is His Perfect Bride, original Ron Wyatt, Ark of the Covenant Discovery with extras. So, all right.
They looked at me kind of funny. And they said, there's been nobody in here like that today. And then one of them said, well, Mr. Wyatt, there's never been anybody in here like that.
Okay, so I was wrong. Apparently he's saying he's seeing an angel, like, during the dig. So, but there's another story where the doctor gets converted. I was trying to find that story. So,
Yeah.
anyway.
So somewhere between where he turned right past that pine tree and before he got to the office, he went on to the New Jerusalem.
The uninvited guest eventually left, and they were able to resume work for a brief time.
Okay, here we go. Yeah, this is right. We'll get through this and we'll call it good.
At this time, Ron made the following discovery.
Just a brief look around the surrounding areas here to identify the location of this site. Down to the left, of course, is down where the work's being done in the excavation. As you hear the electric jackhammer, we have been probing around up here by the cross hole, and just immediately to the left of the film container, you see some dark pigmented material. Now this appears to be dried blood, but we do plan to put some of this
in the film case and take it back and have it analyzed to see if it is blood. Now this is right under the cutouts where Christ was crucified and near the cross hole that we believe to be the one he was crucified on. There, right at the very tip of the tab, there's some more of this real dark material. As soon as it's exposed to the light, it begins to turn a lighter brown, and this is typical of very old blood. So we'll take some more of this sample here, and it seems to have come down through this area here, as we've collected it all the way along and down into this crevice that communicates with the chamber that the Ark of the Covenant's in. It comes right down through here and down this way and around through a crack right in here and down through this area. Anyway, I have several samples of it that I have taken.
For many years, the specimen sat untouched. Then in 1996, when Ron was in Great Britain, Richard and Elizabeth Reeves and their sons came to Nashville to our home. Richard had a new, unique, and very powerful microscope he wanted to show us.
Leviticus 17:14 informs us that the life of all flesh is the blood thereof. Once again, scientists are finding out that the truths of Scripture are far more literal than they ever imagined. Tiny particles have been discovered in blood that are seemingly indestructible. These tiny particles are less than 1/10 of a micron in size, and while they cannot be seen using standard medical microscopes, new methods of microscopy have been developed which makes it possible to see them in their living state. The French scientist Gaston Naessens designed special microscope components that would allow him to see these particles, which he entitled somatids, meaning the body that creates. Through experimentation, Professor Naessens found that these somatids contain genetic material yet to be fully understood by the scientific community. They are polymorphic in nature, growing from stage to stage, and are unaffected by high temperatures, extremely toxic chemicals, or even nuclear radiation. Professor Naessens believes these somatids to be subcellular living and reproducing entities, the precursor of DNA, and that they may be the building blocks of life. About 6 years ago, I learned about these particles as a result of some research that I was conducting, which was totally non-related to archaeology. At that time, I was using a standard medical microscope, and while I could not see these particles, I knew they had to be there. I began to develop my own microscope patterned after the design of Professor Naessens. What you see behind me is that microscope in its latest stage of development. The microscope employs an extremely bright xenon or mercury light source, which can be combined with tungsten light. The light is directed across the microscopic specimen rather than on or through it in what is known as a dark field configuration. The light reflecting off the object is transmitted...
Okay, I'm going to skip ahead a little bit because he's basically showing that the somatids are still in the blood, so the blood's still, like, alive, basically.
Yeah.
So we'll move ahead, and I think he shows him here.
And see what comes up on the screen here. There they are, thousands of living particles, less than a quarter of a micron in size.
It looks like light.
Spores are maybe a half micron, and but most of those little particles that you're looking at is 17,000 X, magnified on the screen 17,000 times. You know, in the Bible it tells us that the life is in the blood. and there's little living particles that most people are unaware that are there. And this is the same thing we see in living blood. The scientist in Canada says that these things never die. The blood may dry up, but these things, he says, they're indestructible, and he says they are the basis of life.
Huh.
Pretty wild.
The results we obtained in no way can be said to be proof that the specimen was the blood of Christ, but based on the location from which the specimen came, we believe it was what Ron believed it was. Years earlier, Ron had taken a blood specimen from the lid of the case which contained the Ark of the Covenant.
The blood of Christ is only dried out, folks. It's not dead. When we rehydrated it with normal saline, 72 hours of body temperature with slight, very gentle swirling, and put the white blood cells in a growth medium, 48 hours later, we did a chromosome count. I didn't. This was in Israel. It has 24 chromosomes only. All of us here have 46. Unless, there's a couple of genetic anomalies that make that different. But Christ received 23 from his mother and one Y, sex determining factor, from his father, who was not a human father. Because had he received that from a human father, it would have been accompanied by 22 autosomes. Now what this basically means is that his height, his eye color, his hair color, and all of this was supplied from the genes of his mother's gene pool. However, Mary and Joseph both descended from David, but none of us have 24 chromosomes. Well, they knew. They told me before I asked them when I asked them to perform this investigation, that dried blood, you can't get a chromosome count on it because the white blood cells have to be alive and well in order to do that. You can get DNA, you can get some other things, but you can't get a chromosome count. So this blood is unique, and it is Christ's blood. And that's
With no explanations from Ron, the excavation suddenly came to a stop. On a later trip to Jerusalem, Ron entered the cave system alone through the middle door, and for the first time in quite a while he re-entered the chamber with the Ark of the Covenant. To his utter surprise and disbelief, he found the chamber had been completely cleaned out and all the items from the temple were set up. No longer was the Ark in the stone case.
The chamber where I found the Ark of the Covenant has since been perfectly cleaned out. And the Ark of the Covenant, the table of showbread, the candlestick, the golden altar of incense, they're all set out as they were in the earthly temple, except that the Ark of the Covenant is setting against the 12-foot long and 18-foot wide or high wall.
He found the original tunnel was also cleaned out, and he followed it to discover that it did indeed open into Zedekiah's cave. It was not the tunnel he and his crew had opened earlier. In the following years, Ron entered the chamber with the Ark a number of times.
Yes, the tables of stone were found in the Ark of the Covenant. I removed them with the assistance of 4 angels who lifted the mercy seat, which I would estimate weighs
Gary,
about...
pause.
Yeah.
I'm going to get off here and grab my computer because my phone's about dead.
Okay, cool.
So I'll be back.
All right, let me get her switched over then really quick. Let me just let this keep playing while we're doing that.
100 pounds of solid gold. And one of these angels told me to take the tables of stone out of there, he said God wants everyone to see those. And so I took them out, backed up, stood there, frozen in place, and I just can't describe my physical state or mental state or anything else. If I didn't have some physical evidence to prove it happened, I think I had a dream or something. But anyway, they're on a stone ledge right in the same chamber. That's where the angel put them after I handed them to him. I didn't know what to do with them. And I was told that these are to be presented with the blood evidence when the mark of the beast law is passed or enforced. Now, I know everybody wonders about what it is, the mark of the beast. You've heard all kinds of rumors, stories, and all this. I'll tell you quick and simple. If you keep the 10 Commandments that God wrote upon those tables of stone, and about which he says in Psalms 89 and 34, those of you that are writing down text, you'll want this one. He says, my covenant will I not break.
I'm looking for a specific spot to hang it, to cut it off. So there's one spot I want to get to, and then we'll be done.
Mountaintop. He wrote them in stone, and he says, nothing will change. Right? If you keep that law, you will receive the seal of God.
Jump here.
And when the centurions pierced Christ,
Here we go. I think this is it.
And probably the left ventricle of the heart, depending on how deep the thrust went, the blood and the platelets and serum gushed out and went down through that crack onto the Ark of the Covenant, 20 feet below, and fulfilled, ratified, if you please, the Old and the New Covenant. And at that moment, you and I were bought with a price, as was everyone else on this planet, if they will only take advantage of what was done for them. What Christ did was enough to redeem every man, woman, and child that has ever been born on planet Earth.
So, did you get that?
That's crazy.
Yeah. So basically, yeah, when they stabbed Christ, the blood dropped onto the mercy seat, as Jen said earlier. So I find that very, very cool. Much more interesting than the CIA remotely viewing the Ark of the Covenant under a mosque.
Yeah, and he had a whole bunch of video evidence of them looking for it and whatnot.
Yeah, he verifies he's there. I mean, they went back, and of course that stuff was recorded in the 80s, and they went back in 2000, I think shortly after Ron Wyatt died. So there's a lot of compelling evidence here. I find this much more believable than a CIA document, personally. So Jen says, well, at least this guy believes it. So, yeah. And so with that, I think we're going to end this episode with something Jen said in the comments section. The blood is alive. I think that's a good place to end it. So we're going to...
Blood is alive.
Yep. So we're going to conclude episode 3 here. Trevor. We're not leaving.
Yeah.
We got one more part. Part 4. Anyway. So Trevor, you want to sign us out?
Thank you for watching this episode, and we will see you next time.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Faith, Fiction, and Folklore. If you did, we would love it if you would subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Rumble. We can also be found on X, Instagram, and Facebook. And we are available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Thank you again very much for listening, and we'll see you next time.